What if I told you that your ability to sense the environment, to see the truth behind smiles, is not a gift, but a mortal danger? You walk into a room and know, without anyone saying a word, who's lying, who's in pain, who's faking it. You see envy disguised as praise, sadness hidden in a joke. This isn't imagination. You're beginning to decipher a code most people don't even know exists. But here's the truth no one told you. This clarity comes at a price. And it's high. This ability will isolate you, turn you into a target, and if you're not careful, it will destroy you from within. There's a reason ancient sages like Thoth guarded this knowledge closely. Because seeing too much sets you on a path of no return with 4 specific dangers that can drive you mad. In this video, I'll reveal these 4 dangers and, most importantly, the only way to survive them. If this message resonated with you, you're ready. Stay with me until the end, because what I'm about to show you could be the difference between being destroyed by this gift or becoming its master. If you've ever felt alone because you see what others don't see, comment below. I see too much. What the eyes do not see and the mind does not know does not exist. With that key turned and the door opened, the world you knew disintegrates and rebuilds itself before your eyes like a monumental stage. A vast and elaborate theatre where each person, without exception, plays a role assigned to them at birth. They follow an invisible script, with rehearsed lines and mechanical gestures in a play called normality. It's a grandiose spectacle designed to maintain the illusion that everything is under control, that life follows a logical and predictable course, that everyone is fundamentally well and happy. You begin to notice the details of the performance, the smiles that are merely a tug of the lips, never reaching the sparkle in the eyes, the conversations that swirl around in circles about the weather, work, and trivialities, carefully avoiding any topic that might reveal real vulnerability. They are silent agreements, unsigned pacts to avoid touching open wounds, to avoid questioning the rules of the game. It's a collective dance on the surface, a monumental effort to maintain the artificial peace so that the fragile structure of shared reality doesn't crumble. The same patterns of self-deception repeat themselves on a fractal scale, from the microcosm to the macrocosm. You see them at a family dinner where long-held resentments are swept under the rug with forced laughter. You see them in a company where a culture of toxic positivity prevents real issues from being discussed. And you see them on a global scale in negotiations between nations where polite speeches hide brutal interests. It's always the same play, just with different sets and costumes, and you wonder how you never noticed it before. But now you realize. And this realization transforms you. You are no longer an unconscious actor on stage. You have become the only audience member truly watching the play. You see the strings that move the puppets, the painted cardboard walls that simulate a horizon, the lights that create the illusion of day and night. Your mere presence, your attentive silence, your growing inability to recite the lines expected of you begins to generate a palpable discomfort in the cast. You become a living, unwanted mirror. And a mirror doesn't judge, it merely reflects. When you stop playing the game, your quiet authenticity reflects the artificiality of others. Your gaze, which sees beyond the mask, makes the masks feel heavy. Your refusal to laugh at the unfunny joke exposes the emptiness behind it. You don't have to say a single word. Your energy, your vibrancy, your mere existence as someone no longer acting, becomes a break in the fourth wall, a glitch in the matrix that threatens to expose the truth to the entire cast. It's at this point that the ground beneath your feet, which once seemed so solid and secure, begins to shake violently. The spectacle only works as long as everyone agrees to believe in it. When a single spectator stands up and points out the farce, even if silently, the illusion begins to crumble. The artificial peace shatters, and the chaos it held contained begins to seep through the cracks. And you, the bearer of the mirror, discover that the price of seeing the truth is becoming the center of an existential earthquake, an isolation so profound it feels like exile to another dimension. The loneliness of those who see too much. This earthquake throws you into exile, not a physical exile in a distant land, but a much deeper and more overwhelming isolation, an exile of consciousness. You're in a room full of people you love, participating in the same conversations, sitting at the same table, but inhabiting a completely different reality. It's as if, overnight, you've learned to speak a language no one else understands. Or worse, as if you've begun to see a spectrum of vibrant, complex colors, while everyone around you continues to live in a monotonous world of black and white. You try to describe what you see. You try to point to the purple of disguised sadness or the scarlet hue of repressed anger that hangs over a seemingly calm conversation. But to them, your words sound like delusions, like the figment of an overactive imagination, or at worst, like arrogance. How dare you say you see something they, with their own eyes, cannot see? Attempting to share your perception only digs a deeper chasm between you and them, pushing you deeper into this island of loneliness. The irony is brutal and cutting. At the very moment you feel most connected to the profound truth of the universe, to the essence of things, you become most disconnected from the people who make up your world. Every interaction becomes an exercise in simultaneous translation, where you need to filter your perception so as not to frighten, offend, or be misunderstood. You develop a double discourse, one for your inner world, rich in nuances and truths, and another for the outer world, simplified and superficial to be accepted. You become a stranger in your own home, a tourist in your own life. The social rituals that once brought comfort now seem empty and meaningless. Celebrations, parties, and trivial conversations become a constant reminder of your difference, of the chasm that separates you from others. You smile, wave, and participate, but inside a part of you is simply observing, analyzing, feeling like an anthropologist studying an unknown tribe with strange customs, even if that tribe is your own family or circle of friends. This existential loneliness is a chill that seems to come from deep within, a chill that no blanket or hug can warm. It's the pain of having a panoramic view from the top of a mountain, but no one to share it with. You see the storm brewing on the horizon, but everyone around you can only complain about the heat. You see the beauty hidden in a tear, but everyone just wants you to stop crying. This disconnection is the first shadow of a perilous journey. And this loneliness isn't just a passive feeling of sadness. It's the gateway to a much more active and concrete danger. It weakens you, isolates you, and places you in a position of extreme vulnerability. It's in this state of isolation that the world presents you with a choice, a fork in the road that seems impossible to take, a choice that threatens to destroy you from within, through silence, or from without, through words. And there is no third option. Isolated on your island of perception, you face a brutal crossroads, a choice that seems to have no right answer. On one side of the path is the option to speak, to give voice to the truth burning in your chest. On the other, the option to remain silent, to swallow what you see to maintain peace. Both roads seem to lead to a cliff. It's an impossible choice, a test of psychological survival where any decision you make seems to result in some form of annihilation, whether internal or external. If you choose to speak out, if you decide you can no longer stand by the charade and point to the crack in the wall, the lie in the speech, the pain in the eyes, you instantly become the problem. The group's attention, which previously ignored the dysfunction, now turns entirely to you. People won't attack the truth you've exposed, they'll attack you, the messenger. It's a primitive and effective defense mechanism. If the mirror shows an ugly image, the easiest solution isn't to change your face, but to break the mirror. You will be labeled. They will call you negative, a killjoy, overly sensitive, an overthinker, or a fussmaker. It won't be a physical attack, but a coordinated psychic offensive, a campaign to invalidate your perception and, consequently, your sanity. The goal is to make you doubt yourself, to believe that the fault lies in your own eyes, not in the reality you observe. It's a desperate attempt to protect the fragile structure of the collective illusion, and you are its greatest threat. But what if you choose the other path? The path of silence. If you decide the battle isn't worth it, that the cost of speaking is too high, and choose to swallow the truth, to smile and nod, something precious within you begins to rot. Every time you deny your own perception to fit in, every time you force a smile in the face of a falsehood, you commit a small betrayal against your own soul. It's an act of self-invalidation that, repeated day after day, corrodes your essence. A deep rift begins to form within you, a schizophrenic split between the part of you that knows the truth and the part that must pretend not to know to survive socially. You live in a state of constant cognitive dissonance, an internal conflict that drains your vital energy. The silence that should protect you turns into a slow poison, killing your spontaneity, your joy, your integrity. You remain alive on the outside, but inside, your light begins to dim. Both choices lead you to a form of death, social death or the death of the soul. Speaking out turns you into an outcast, a target for group hostility. Silence turns you into a ghost, an empty shell that has lost touch with its own truth. Trapped in this paradox, in this existential dead end, you feel there is no escape. And it is precisely at this point of maximum pressure that an even more subtle, more insidious and destructive danger begins to take shape. A danger that comes not from a choice, but from an inevitable reaction of the world around you. The transformation into enemy. Regardless of your choice, be it painful silence or dangerous words, your mere presence, seeing the truth, is already a threat. And when people's comfort zone is threatened, their instinctive and unconscious reaction is to turn you into the enemy. This is one of the oldest and most powerful defense mechanisms in the human psyche, shooting the messenger to avoid having to deal with the message. To protect itself, the group needs to find someone to blame for the discomfort. And the easiest target is the one holding up the mirror. Unconsciously, they begin to project onto you the source of all the discomfort their vision exposes. The twisted logic is brilliant in its simplicity. If the discomfort only appeared when you began to see things, then the cause of the problem must be your vision, not the problem itself. You are not just observing the dysfunction that already existed. In their minds, you become the very cause of the dysfunction. Your heightened perception is reinterpreted as a flaw, a disease, a source of conflict. It's at this point that labels, once whispered, are now thrown like sharp stones, intended to hurt and discredit. Words like unstable, dramatic, paranoid, or complicated are used to create a narrative about you. A narrative that serves a very specific purpose. If they can convince themselves and others that their perception is flawed and unreliable, then no one needs to look at the uncomfortable truth you're pointing out. Your supposed madness becomes the perfect alibi for collective denial. This strategy is devastating because it completely isolates you. You become the group's official scapegoat, the figure on whom all the frustrations, fears, and unresolved shadows are placed. You carry not only the weight of what you see, but also the weight of the anger and fear of those who refuse to see. They blame you for the tension you only noticed, accuse you of the sadness you only felt, and hold you responsible for the crisis you only anticipated. It's a form of psychic lynching. You find yourself fighting a war on two fronts. Externally, you deal with the hostility, judgment, and isolation imposed by the group. Internally, you fight an even harder battle to not believe the narrative they've created about you. The pressure is so intense that many begin to doubt their own sanity. Are they right? Am I the problem? Am I really imagining things? This doubt is the ultimate goal of their defense maneuver. And while you're exhausted, fighting this external and internal war, defending yourself from accusations and trying to preserve your own mind, a final, more intimate and perhaps most lethal danger of all silently approaches. A danger that no longer aims simply to isolate or discredit you, but that threatens to completely dissolve your identity, making you disappear into a sea of sensations that are not yours. This is the deepest and most frightening point of the journey, the danger that threatens not only your peace or your relationships, but your very existence. The loss of yourself, your heightened perception, opened without an instruction manual, comes with no filter or off switch. You unwittingly become a psychic sponge, a satellite dish tuned to every frequency around you, capturing not just visual or auditory information, but everyone's emotions, pain, and unprocessed truths. You enter a room feeling calm and centered, and leave inexplicably anxious, sad, or angry, with no origins in your own life. You talk to a friend who smiles and says everything is fine, but then you feel exhausted, carrying a weight that isn't yours. You begin to absorb the inner state of people and places, and the worst part is that, at first, you can't tell the difference. You believe that sudden anguish is yours, that sudden melancholy originated within you. The boundaries that define where your self ends and the other begins become dangerously permeable and blurred. Your emotional landscape, which once had its own climate, is now invaded by storms, droughts, and hurricanes from other continents. You begin to forget what your own inner voice sounds like amidst the deafening noise of others' voices, thoughts and feelings echoing in your mind and body. The sensation is that of dissolving. Every day, it seems like there's less and less of you and more of everything else. Your vital energy is drained to fuel this constant absorption. You feel like you're disappearing, becoming a ghost, an echo of the people and places you pass through. Many who reach this point of energetic and emotional saturation lose themselves completely. They seek refuge in addictions, in food, in endless distractions, in total isolation, anything that promises to silence, even for a moment, the unbearable noise that has become their life. This is the bottom of the psychic's journey. It's a place of total darkness, where depression, chronic anxiety, and panic attacks become constant companions. It's a point where madness no longer seems like a distant threat, but a logical and almost welcome escape from the torment of uncontrolled hypersensitivity. You feel like you can't go on any longer, that your structure is about to collapse, that you're drowning and there's no solid ground in sight. But it is precisely here, in the darkest point of the night, in the abyss of disappearance, when all hope seems lost, that an ancient wisdom, a secret guarded for ages, offers a ray of light. A revelation so simple and yet so profound that it has the power to reverse the entire process. A truth that shows that the problem was never what you thought, and the solution is the exact opposite of what you've been trying to achieve. The big revelation. The danger isn't seeing, it's wanting to fix it. At the bottom of this abyss, just as you're about to surrender to chaos, Thoth's ancient wisdom emerges from the shadows with shocking and liberating clarity. The truth is revealed, and it's so simple that your mind, accustomed to complexity and drama, almost refuses to accept it. The danger was never in the act of seeing. Your heightened perception was never the curse. The mortal danger, the true trap that led you to the bottom, was always the compulsion to do something about what you saw. It was the deeply ingrained and unconscious belief that by perceiving a problem, you automatically became responsible for solving it. If you felt someone's pain, you believed it was your mission to heal it. If you noticed dysfunction in a group, you felt the weight of obligation to correct it. If you saw a lie, you felt the uncontrollable urge to expose it. This savior syndrome, this subtle arrogance of seeing yourself as the world's fixer, was the true source of all your suffering. Thoth, the divine scribe, was not a warrior or a reformer. He was an observer, a recorder of truth. He understood that the highest wisdom lies not in forcing change, but in witnessing the unfolding process of the universe. Imagine standing on the bank of a river and seeing that its waters are murky and muddy. Your compulsion makes you jump in, desperately trying to clear the water with your hands. But all you achieve is to stir up the filth even more, exhaust yourself, and nearly drown in the current. True wisdom isn't jumping into the river. It's standing on the bank and simply observing that the water is murky. From this observation, you can make a conscious decision. I'm not going to drink this water today. And then you continue on your way. You allow the river, in its own time and rhythm, to follow its course, for the mud to settle naturally, for the rains to cleanse it. Your frantic intervention was not only useless, it worsened the situation and drained your energy. Your role is not to clean the river, but to be a witness to its waters. When you understand this, you realize you tried to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders, a weight that wasn't yours and that you never had the power to carry. You tried to control the uncontrollable. You tried to force enlightenment on others. You tried to tear away the masks people chose to wear. And it was this struggle against reality, this resistance to what is, that broke you. Your perception wasn't the problem. The problem was your attachment to the outcome, your need for the world to conform to your vision. And the very moment you let go of that rope, the instant you relinquish your role as the universe's fixer and accept the role of merely a conscious witness, something truly miraculous begins to happen. The pressure in your chest dissipates. The energy that was drained in futile struggles returns to you. The world doesn't change, but your relationship with it radically transforms. And this internal transformation opens the doors to a new power, a new way of existing that is serene, effective, and indestructible. The moment you release the compulsion to fix, your perception, which was once a source of torment, paradoxically becomes even clearer, but now it is calm and serene. You learn the subtle and powerful art of seeing without attachment, of perceiving truth without the need to control it, of understanding deeply without the obligation to interfere. You become a master of your own mind, and in doing so, you completely transform your relationship with the reality around you. The vision that was a curse is transmuted into a tool of wisdom. Your presence, which once felt like a threat, a silent judgment that made others uncomfortable, now becomes a safe space. People, without understanding why, begin to feel comfortable around you. They relax in your company because they no longer feel the unconscious pressure to change, to be different, to be accepted by you. Your energy is no longer that of an inspector looking for flaws, but that of a mountain, solid, calm, and simply present. You become that rare person with whom others can truly be themselves. Someone who sees your flaws, your fears, your masks, but doesn't try to tear them away. Someone who doesn't try to rescue you from your own processes or rush your learning journey. You offer the ultimate freedom, the permission to be. Your clarity, once a sharp weapon that hurt you and others, now becomes the greatest gift you can offer, the gift of unconditional acceptance. You still see the truth. You see the pain behind the smile, the insecurity behind the arrogance, the lies in the speech. But now, your reaction is different. Instead of an impulse to correct, you feel a surge of compassion. You understand that each person is at their own stage of evolution, fighting their own invisible battles, learning their own lessons in their own time. Your vision is no longer an accusation, but a silent permission for others, when they are ready, to begin to see too. This new posture isn't one of passivity or indifference. On the contrary, it's a much more powerful form of action. Instead of wasting your energy trying to change the external world, you use it to maintain your own center, to sustain a field of peace and clarity. And this vibration, in and of itself, begins to influence the environment in subtle and profound ways. Your calm becomes contagious. Your peace invites peace. You become a catalyst for change, not by doing, but by being. But to sustain this state of serene power, to avoid being dragged back into the chaos of the world, you must learn to protect yourself. You must build a fortress, not of walls to isolate yourself, but of energetic boundaries to preserve your peace. You must master the art of being the guardian of your own energy, of your own consciousness. And this is the next crucial stage of your mastery. The Seer's Fortress, its sacred limits. This newfound mastery requires the conscious construction of an inner fortress. The wisdom of Thoth, the guardian of mysteries, lies not only in knowing the truth, but in knowing how to protect sacred knowledge. And the most sacred knowledge of all is your own center, your own inner peace. To maintain your clarity without being consumed by chaos, you must learn to be in the world, but not of the world. And this begins with establishing sacred boundaries, energetic borders that protect and define you. This begins with the practice of conscious solitude, not the painful solitude of exile, but a deliberate choice to retreat into your inner sanctuary. Daily moments when you disconnect from all other energies, from the noise of social media, the demands of work, the expectations of others. In these moments of silence, you ask yourself the fundamental question: is this what I'm feeling truly mine, or did I catch it from someone else? It's a cleansing process, like letting the murky water in a glass settle until you can see the bottom clearly again. You learn to discern your own emotions from the emotions you've absorbed. You recognize anxiety that doesn't belong to you and mentally return it to its source without judgment. You identify sadness picked up from a friend and release it, sending compassion instead of carrying it as your own. This energetic hygiene becomes as essential as taking a bath. It's the practice that prevents you from becoming a psychic sponge again, keeping your internal boundaries strong and flexible. With this clarity about what is yours and what isn't, you learn to trust your perception without being controlled by it. Yes, you see the truth with crystal clarity. You see the games, the manipulations, the hidden pain. But now the most important question you ask yourself is not, "What am I seeing?" but rather, "What does wisdom ask me to do with this?" And you discover, with surprising frequency, that the wisest and most powerful answer is absolutely nothing. Just observe, just hold the space, just witness the unfolding of events with a calm and compassionate presence. You understand that your inaction is not weakness or passivity, but the height of strength. It's the strength of a mountain that allows the clouds to pass without trying to hold them back. It's the strength of a deep ocean that remains calm at its base. No matter how violent the storm on the surface, you become a guardian of the space so that the truth can emerge on its own, in its own time. This ability to remain awake, centered, and at peace, even in the midst of a hurricane, is the final step before the greatest and most beautiful reward of this entire journey. It's the mastery that prepares you to discover that the fortress you built wasn't meant to isolate you forever. On the contrary, it was meant to transform you into a beacon. And a lighthouse, no matter how strong, doesn't fulfill its purpose alone in the dark. It exists to be seen by other ships in the night. And then, when you become master of your own inner fortitude, when your light is steady and serene, you discover the ultimate secret, the revelation that transforms the entire journey of pain and isolation into a glorious purpose. You were never alone. By mastering the art of living with your eyes open without being destroyed by it, you become a beacon. And the light you emit, now calm, steady, and compassionate, begins to be seen by other beacons that were previously hidden in the fog. They exist. Those others who, like you, inhabit the same strange space of heightened perception. Those who have also experienced exile, the impossible choice, the pain of being transformed into enemies. They too have learned, in their own way, the art of seeing without fixing and of building their own sacred boundaries. And their light, now shining safely, serves as a meeting point in the vast ocean of human consciousness. They begin to emerge into your life, drawn by the resonance of your frequency. The moment you meet these people is transformative. It's the moment you can finally be seen in your entirety by someone who doesn't need you to be less to feel comfortable. It's the first time you can talk about the colors you see, and the other person not only understands but describes those same colors in different words. In that instant, all the weight of loneliness accumulated over years melts away. Danger transforms into shared power. Burden becomes a celebrated gift. Together, you form an invisible community, a brotherhood of the awakened. You learn to hold space not only for those still asleep, but for each other. You become mirrors that reflect not the farce, but the truth and strength of each other. You realize, with a soul-stirring relief, that you are not crazy, defective, or broken. You are simply the scouts, the pioneers, the first to awaken in a city still fast asleep. And you understand what your true task is. It's not to go out into the streets shouting for everyone to wake up, shaking those who sleep, as that would only breed fear and resistance. The true task is much more subtle and much more powerful. It's simply to keep the light burning. Keep your headlights shining with patience, love, and compassion, forming a web of light that gently illuminates the path. Your clarity, which once seemed like the worst of curses, reveals itself as the greatest of invitations. An invitation to become a safe haven, a guiding light in the darkness. And the light you emit, now serene, constant, and connected to other lights, is not just a form of love. It is the most beautiful, the most powerful, and the most transformative force in the universe, proving that the purpose of seeing what others cannot was, ultimately, to light the way home. If you've made it this far, if every word resonated within you, it's because you're no longer asleep. You're among those who see. To let me know you're one of us, leave the phrase in the comments, "I keep the light on." If you feel this work is important and want to help the channel grow and spread more messages like this, there's a way to contribute more directly. In the first pinned comment, you'll find a link to support the channel. Any help you can give is immensely important to me and to ensuring this content continues to exist and reach more people. But understand, just the fact that you stuck it out until the end is a huge help. If you can, share this video with just one person you think is also ready to awaken. And before you go, your journey doesn't have to stop here. I've put together a special video to further delve into what we've discussed. A practical next step for you. Don't leave yet. Just click on the video that's currently playing on your screen and we'll meet you there.